growing up in the early 2000s was the shit, especially being able to watch Spongebob at every opportunity. That show practically had a damn cult following. There were even Spongebob-themed tampons at a time, for God's sake. However, my love for Spongebob was lost around 2002 when I was home alone one night while my parents were on an anniversary dinner date. I was not even a teenager at the time, but I knew how to handle being alone pretty well, and I could take care of myself with no trouble. I made myself some pizza rolls and sat on my couch to watch some Nick. And as fate would have it, a late-night SpongeBob marathon was on. After watching episode after episode a few hours, I checked the time. It was almost midnight. I knew my parents would probably be home soon, but I still had school in the morning, so I got ready for bed. As I laid down drifting of a sleep, I was jolted back into full awareness when I heard rustling coming from somewhere in my room. I sat up in my bed and listened very closely to find out what could have been causing the sound. But all I could hear was my own pounding heart. I eventually blew it off as my imagination and laid my head back down on my pillow to get back to sleep. I was once again awoken by another sound coming from my room. I looked at the clock on my desk that sat next to my bed, and only half an hour had passed. I sat up in bed again, and I heard that sound in my room. There was no mistaking what it was. Laughter coming from my closet. I sat in my bed, eyes wide open, heart try to burst out of my chest and run away, stomach in knots. That would make any Boy Scout jealous. The laughter was very familiar. It sounded just like SpongeBob's famous laugh.
Don't be afraid, little one.
Called from behind my closet door. A voice no one couldn't immediately recognize. SpongeBob's voice. SpongeBob SquarePants.
Well, of course it is. Silly.
The voice responded to my question in a playfully sarcastic voice, followed by that iconic laughter. I immediately felt a huge gush of relief and joy that the real SpongeBob was actually in my home, but I was very confused at the same time. What are you doing in my closet? How did you get here?
I'll proudly answer any question that you have, child. But first you have to open the door for me so we can meet face to face.
After I heard that request from him, my feelings of excitement and happiness were immediately replaced by hesitation, skepticism, and fear. Why can't you open the door yourself? I asked.
Because I'm not of your world. You have to allow me into your world from mine. Once you do that, I'll be able to allow you into my world as well. You can come visit me, Squidward, Patrick, Gary, and all of the rest of my friends from the show. Sounds fun, right?
That feeling of terror from earlier while I was in my bed washed over me once more. This wasn't possible. SpongeBob was just a cartoon character. Something scary was happening here. I don't think I'm going to open the door. I don't believe you're who you say you are. Please leave. That was a mistake. There was silence from the inside of my closet after I said that for a few seconds. I thought that whatever was trying to fool me into opening that door had left. I couldn't have been more wrong.
Open this goddamn f***ing door!
That voice was now deep and disoriented. I fell to the floor and began crawling back away from my closet door, screaming and crying. The deep, disoriented voice was clearly amused by this and spoke again.
I'm going to get you. I'll drag you down to hell with me and torture you day and night for all eternity. No one will be able to save you. Not that they'll even care anyway. Your parents would be glad to be rid of a like you.
I was paralyzed with fear as I heard repeated massive punches coming from the other side of the closet door, eventually causing a hole in the center of the door and a face looming through it at me. It was square, yellow, holes that were pouring out purple blood, black eyes, and saber-tooth-like teeth. It gave me a bloody smile. I let out a final scream before everything faded to black. When I opened my eyes, it was morning. I was in the same position that I always woke up and faced at my desk. I shot up in bed and looked at my closet door, expecting to see the hole in my closet door that the demon created the night before, only to find the door unharmed. I then decided it had to be a nightmare and began feeling better. Life went on normally for years after that. I had a child at 19 years old a year after I graduated high school. A boy who I named Max. My ex-boyfriend gets him on weekends, and I get him on weekdays. Life was going good for me, until last night. My son came screaming happily into my room last night, claiming that Spongebob was in his closet and told him that he knew his mom when she was his age and wanted both of us to come to his world with him. That faded memory of that night hit me like a truck. I didn't even hesitate. I grabbed my son and my keys and took off to a hotel where I am writing this from. What could this creature want from me? Why is it back in my life? What can I do to make sure it never gets my son and I? Please, for the love of God, please help.